Okay, thank you. Each of the three co-equal branches of government is somewhat reactive at its core. The executive branch might take action in response to a public emergency. The legislature might draft laws to adjust to societal beliefs and to outlaw certain conduct. And the judicial branch is perhaps the most reactive of the three. Courts rule on cases brought before them, and they're often careful to tailor those rulings to resolve only the narrow matters presented in those cases. Many trial judges leave behind careers in advocacy to become neutral and objective arbiters of the law. But our ethical rules allow judges to, quote, promote access to justice for all, end quote. Sometimes our state Supreme Court is compelled to exercise its supervisory authority to bring about systemic change that upholds that sacred ideal. In State versus Holmes, 334 Connecticut 202, the Supreme Court of Connecticut ruled upon the exclusion of an African-American potential juror who'd expressed among his beliefs that the criminal justice system sometimes operates unfairly and that some police officers treat people unfairly, though he went on to promise that he'd follow the judge's instructions and that he'd be fair to both sides if selected to serve on that trial's jury. After addressing under Batson versus Kentucky and applicable Connecticut law whether it was pretextual to prevent the man from serving, the court went on to create this jury selection task force. In concluding a legal opinion released last December, in which he was joined by every one of his fellow Supreme Court justices, Chief Justice Richard A. Robinson explained that the court is unanimous in its commitment to eradicate racial bias from our jury system. My name is Omar Williams, and along with Chase Rogers, a former Chief Justice of our Supreme Court, I can say that we are proud to serve as your co-chairs as you take on this Herculean task. We sincerely thank Chief Justice Robinson for entrusting each of us with this most important work. It is my distinct honor to inform you that the Chief Justice would like to address the task force at this time. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Connecticut, Richard A. Robinson. Mr. Chief Justice.
Thank you, Judge Williams. Your words pierced my heart. I mean, it's just incredible. You said exactly how I feel about these matters. When I was thinking about what I was going to say to you folks, I thought about going back to the strategic plan and seeing what the plan said about this kind of a situation. The value statement of the strategic plan says fairness. The judicial branch embodies fairness through the equal and impartial treatment of all people. It is a core value of the judicial branch that all of its members treat every person equally without bias or favoritism. The reason why I've asked you to do this really important task is because I feel it's extremely important. Batson is an incredible case, but it was basically a toothless tiger. I'm asking you to give that tiger some teeth. I thought about what I was really going to say to you, and I think what I want to do is tell you a couple of stories of my own experience in this kind of an area. I was trying a case in Stanford back when I was an attorney, and we picked the jury, and I noticed something strange going on. At least I thought something strange was going on. Every individual who had brown skin ended off the jury. So I started to think about why. My client isn't black. This doesn't make sense to me. And then I realized, hey, I am black. The attorney on the other side, I believe, thought that black jurors would be biased towards my case because we were both of the same color. Didn't make much sense to me. I tried that case and actually won. After the case was over, I was walking outside the courthouse to go back to my car. And this juror walked up to me and said, "Can I speak to you?" And I said, "If it's about the trial, no, I'd rather not, because there still may be some proceedings to do." He said, "No, it's not really about the trial. It's about you and me." And so I was confused. This gentleman was a very fair-skinned black man. And he said, "You know, they wouldn't have allowed me on this jury if they knew that I was black." I had to tell him, "I can't say you're wrong." Think about what that did to that juror and what it did to that young attorney. And I wish I could tell you that was the only time something like that happened, but it wasn't. Today, we can do something about that. And I'm asking you all to work hard to do something about that very thing. Now, if you look at your screens and look at the different people who are involved in this, you'll see that I've really tried to choose a very diverse group of people, not only in gender and race and ethnicity and things of that nature, but also of mind. There are going to be people, there are people on this committee who don't share the same ideas that I do about how to address this problem. And I think that's a good thing. I really do, because it adds to the credibility of this commission. However, it's going to be tough going sometimes. When you're talking about these kinds of issues, it's never easy. So I'm asking you all to, when you get to those moments when you're tense, when things don't seem quite right, when you get frustrated, to take a step back and think about the importance of the mission that I'm asking you to achieve. I need that. Connecticut needs that. The entire United States needs that, especially in these times. So please, do your best to get this achieved. It's not easy. Quite frankly, if it was easy, somebody would have already done it. The reason why I picked you is because I know you can do it. So thank you very much. I'll be watching you closely, and I'll be here if you need me.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice. With that, folks, sounds like it's time to get to work. Thank you very much. Please make sure that you have your membership list handy. There was a link that was sent out along with the invitation to today's meeting. It looks like this. It's got the list of all of our members. Please make sure that you have that membership list handy, as we will be introducing ourselves in the order in which our names appear on that list. I'll also mention that I've been informed we've been joined by the Chief Court Administrator, Judge Patrick Carroll III. So welcome, Judge Carroll, and thank you as well for being here for this important meeting.
Thank you, Judge Williams.
And all right, it looks like the next agenda item is to introduce ourselves as task force members, and we'll do this again in the order in which our names appear on that list. So I'll give you a moment to pull up the membership list. Please remember to keep your microphones muted until it's your time to speak. As you can see, we've got a large membership, and we'll try to stick to our timeline for this meeting. While you pull up the list, I'd like to sincerely thank the unbelievable group of people from court operations who were hand-selected, as you can imagine, to help carry out the Supreme Court's mission, and that includes Tyus Erickson, Krista Hess, Roseanne Rush, Esther Harris, Alexandra Gillette, also Chris Pleasanton, Karen Sandler, Paul Doolittle, Sherry DeLuca, and our incredible IT team who've been doing unbelievable work already. So thank you. You'll hear from them shortly, but this is your task force and it's your mission, so let's hear from you. Let's briefly introduce ourselves in the order in which we appear on the membership list. And Chief Justice Rogers, I believe you are up first, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Judge Williams. We are going to try to keep this to one sentence, but I'm going to hope that you'll indulge me, and I have 3 sentences. I'm really excited to serve on this force because to me the mission and the issue before us are so clear, which for me is, why is the minority community underrepresented and what can we do to fix that? And I think if we can just keep our eye on that ball, we're going to get a lot of good results. You'll see that we've tried to really streamline for each of the subcommittees what they are to be looking at so that you all hopefully can get right to work once the subcommittees are selected. So I'm looking forward to working with all of you and really appreciate your willingness to serve. And I believe, Judge Williams, you're next.
Thank you very much. Omar Williams, I'm the presiding judge of criminal matters at the GA14 courthouse in Hartford. Before this, I was a public defender, first in my hometown of Norwalk and then for 11 years in New Haven. Thank you very much. I believe Judge Abrams is next.
I'm Jim Abrams. I'm the Chief Administrative Judge for Civil Matters.
Hi, Hi, I'm Joan Alexander, Chief Administrative Judge for Criminal. Thank you for including me in this task.
Hello, everyone. I'm David Gold. I'm a judge assigned to Hartford, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you. It's nice to see everybody.
Hi, I'm Joette Katz. My background of over 40 years goes back to my time as a public defender, and so some of the issues that have already been identified are really very near and dear to my heart, going back to the late 70s and jury selection and what that was like back then. Since I've been a judge, justice, commissioner of DCF, and I'm very honored to serve on this task force. I think we have our work cut out for us, but I'm incredibly hopeful and confident that we can achieve our goals. Thank you for including me.
I am Douglas Levine. I'm a judge on the appellate court. I'm very excited and very honored to be on this commission.
Hi, everyone. I'm State Representative Matt Blumenthal for the 147th District. I serve as House Vice Chair for the Judiciary Committee, and I've become interested and involved in this issue both through my legislative role and my private practice. I want to thank everyone for including me, and also look forward to working with you all. Thanks so much.
And we were
Members
informed
of the task force. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Judge Williams.
I was just going to say that the task force was informed by Attorney Richard Colangelo that he had a meeting that was rescheduled on short notice and that he'd be unable to be here. I'm not sure whether he sent a representative from the Office of the Chief State's Attorney. It looks like they were unable to designate somebody. So, Attorney Erickson?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ty Erickson. I work with the Office of the Chief Court Administrator. I'm the Executive Director for Superior Court Operations, and I oversee Court Operations Division, which includes Jury Administration and Court Operations Unit. So very excited to be a part of the task force. Thank you.
Mr. Isdale, are you on the call? If it's all right, shall we move on to Ms. Harris, and Mr. Isdale, we can come back?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Esther Harris. I'm the jury administrator, and I work for court operations, and I'm also very excited to be on the task force and look forward to the work that we're going to do.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Lohr. I'm an Associate Attorney General in the State Attorney General's Office. I'm in charge of all defensive litigation. Prior to working at the AG's office, I've been there since 2008. And prior to that, I was a state prosecutor in the Chief State's Attorney's Office. And I, too, am very proud to be on this committee and very pleased that this is an issue that we're addressing head on now, especially at this time that's facing our country. Thank you.
Attorney Rapillo? Attorney Rapillo, are you on the call?
She's in the meeting, but perhaps is having problems with her microphone. It's not muted. Perhaps we can move on and circle back.
Absolutely. Attorney Tisdale would be next.
Good afternoon. I'm Preston Tisdale. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. Glad to be here today. I originally was started with the Public Defender's Division. I was the head of the Fairfield Judicial District Public Defender's Office and became the first Director of Special Public Defenders. I now practice with Koskoff and Beater, the firm that launched my career. And I currently have served on the Commission on Racial and Ethnic Disparity in the criminal justice system since its inception. So this is an area which is very near and dear to me, and I'm happy to be here with everyone. Thank you.
Attorney Weller?
Sorry about that. I couldn't pull up the list, so I didn't know I followed Preston. Always a tough act to follow. Harry Weller, I'm a retired senior assistant state's attorney from the Office of the Chief State's Attorney. I practiced appellate law for 32 years. I served on the bias committee with Preston previously, many years ago. I've been involved in litigation concerning the jury summoning process, very deeply involved in it, and State versus Gibbs and all the litigation leading up to that. And I'm also honored that the Chief Justice included me on the committee.
Good afternoon, this is Paul Williams. I practice at Dade Pitney. I've been a trial lawyer for about 25 years, picked juries throughout the state. I'm very honored to be involved in this process. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is Charlene Mercer-Agosto. I am an attorney in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm a partner at Paul Mercer and Associates, and I'm here representing the Connecticut Hispanic Bar Association, of which I am in the executive board. And this is obviously a topic that is very important to us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Van Cleve. I'm the director of the Arthur Lyman Center for Public Interest Law at Yale Law School. I was a criminal defense lawyer in Washington, D.C. and Louisiana before I came to New Haven in 2016, and I am really honored to be here.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Glenn Coffin. I'm an attorney at Gordon & Reese up in Glastonbury, and I'm the CDLA representative on this committee. And I'm really looking forward to working with everybody, and I'm honored to be a part of this this process. That's very important to all of our practices. So thank you again.
Attorney DeLuca let us know last minute that he was no longer going to be available, so he'll check in later. We can move on to Professor Feigenson. Professor Feigenson, are you on the call?
Sorry, I didn't unmute myself. I apologize. I'm Neil Feigenson. I'm a professor at Quinnipiac Law School, and I'm honored to serve on this committee. Thank you.
Mr. Umego, are you on the call? The student from Quinnipiac?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Tobey Umego, a rising 3L at Quinnipiac Law. I'm honored to be part of this task force. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Tim Fisher, for 17 more days, the Dean of the UConn Law School, but I know that my successor, Ebony Nelson, who's already in town, cares a great deal about the work of this, and so I know she'll encourage our continued involvement and support. And criminal justice reform is an area of my personal interest, and so I am thrilled to be part of this, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hannah Kogan. I am a rising 3L at UConn School of Law, and I am honored to be here and looking forward to the work to be done.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm attorney Anya Goldsby. I'm currently a trial attorney for Mafre Insurance in our Branford, Connecticut office. I am here on behalf of the George W. Crawford Black Bar Association as its immediate past president. I know I'm personally honored to be a part of this task force, and I know Crawford is very excited to be involved. And as a side note, we actually had our scholarship application back in May, where we asked our students what would be their first action item if they were a member of this task force. So we got some great ideas from some current law students. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Healy. I'm a partner at Cattery & Murphy in Hartford, where I do trial and appellate work. And I am honored to be on this task force and look forward to helping with the important work that we have ahead of us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claire Howard. I'm an attorney at Madsen, Presley, and Parenteau. We are a trial firm. We do plaintiff side employment law. I'm here representing the Connecticut Bar Association. I know they're very interested in the work of the task force. I'm very interested and excited to be on this task force as well. Thank you.
Mr. Brewington, are you on the call? We can move on to Judge Wilson. Judge Wilson, are you on the call?
I'm sorry, I had myself muted. I apologize. I'm Judge Robin Wilson. I currently sit in the Civil Division in New Haven Judicial District. I look forward to working on this committee, and I'm honored and I'm excited about working on a very important issue. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Bill Bloss. I work at Koskoff and Beater in Bridgeport. I do a little bit of a mix of civil and criminal in federal and state courts. So I appreciate the opportunity to help with this important work.
Hi, everybody. I'm Daniel Krish. I'm chair of the appellate practice group at Halloran and Sage. I've been an appellate lawyer for my entire career, so people will have to explain what a jury is to me first, but after that, I'll be very excited to help with this incredibly important mission. Thank you.
Attorney Walsh, are you on the call? Come back to Attorney Walsh. Attorney Arabolos?
Hi, my name is Molly Arabolis. I'm a public defender in Hartford. Prior to that, I was in public defender's office in New Haven. I'm representing the Connecticut Asian Pacific Bar Association. Glad to be a part of this.
Hi, I'm attorney Sheila Sharmoy. I am representing the South Asian Bar Association of Connecticut. I am a former president of SABAC. I practice family law in Fairfield, Connecticut, with my husband who practices bankruptcy law, and I am very excited to be a part of this task force.
Was anyone not able to introduce themselves who was asked to do so that we missed? Okay. Judge Williams, Justice Rogers, that seems to be our membership.
All right, thank you very much. All right, looks like the next agenda item is a presentation on the current jury process.
Okay. Just waiting to get the presentation up.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alex. We wanted to just provide you with a brief overview of the current process. There's a lot of misinformation out there about jury, so we wanted to just give you some basic information. Some of you may have questions about some of the information or some of the topics, but we're asking if you can hold your questions because once the subcommittees convene, we will be able to drill down on a lot of this information, and we don't want to take up too much time this afternoon. So I'm probably going to go through this very quickly. If you have questions, you can email the task force, after or email myself. Okay, first slide. So Section 51-217 tells us about the authority of the jury administrator and how this authority helps us determine whether any person is qualified to serve as a juror or whether any person can be excused for extreme hardship. We'll go into disqualifications a little bit more in a little while. Next slide. So one of the most common questions that we get from the public is, where did you get my name from? So each year, we compile a master file, and we make one master list. And each year, a master file list of potential jurors is created by combining names obtained from 4 state agencies. These lists are from the Department of Motor Vehicles, the Secretary of State, Voter Registry is sent to us, the Department of Revenue Services, and the Department of Labor. Every year, an individual has an equal chance of being randomly summoned for jury service. So Section 51-222A really governs how we should prepare the master file. Almost everything that we do is governed by statute. Next slide. So 51-222A also talks about, again, how we should prepare the master file. The jury administrator, once we get all of those names together, it tells us that we need to delete, where possible, duplicate names. As you can imagine, all of these files will have people on there multiple times. So in order to ensure that the names are occurring on the list only once, the names of deceased persons are also supplied by the Department of Public Health, and those names are matched so that they can be excluded from the list. We also prepare the master list 8 weeks in advance, meaning we mail the summons to jurors 8 weeks ahead of time. Next slide. So what you're looking at now is what an individual would receive in the mail once they receive a summons. By statute, we have to include on there where they are to appear, the date, and the time. It has a lot more information on there. And for example, if you're over 70 and choose not to serve, you can check one of the boxes on here and mail it back to us. Next slide. So these are some of the disqualifications allowed by law. If you have previous federal, state, or jury service within the past 3 years, you can be disqualified. If you're 70 or older, you can choose not to serve. If you want to serve and you're 70 plus, you can still serve. You have to be a Connecticut resident. If you have a physical or mental disability, you can be disqualified with a doctor's note. You do have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be able to speak and understand the English language. If you've been convicted of a felony within the past 7 years, or you are in the custody of the Department of Correction, you can be disqualified. If you're found by a judge of the Superior Court to exhibit any quality which will impair the capacity of such that could prevent you from serving as a juror as such, you can also be disqualified. Next slide. You have to be 18 years of age. If you're a member of the General Assembly and the General Assembly is in session, you can be disqualified. And if you're any of the individuals listed here, you can be disqualified. And if you're a registrar of voters or deputy registrar of voter of a municipality, you can be disqualified. Next slide. 51-217 also talks about the individuals that should be excluded from summoning. That means they don't even end up on the master list. Those are individuals who have permanent disqualification. If you're 70 or older, you can choose to be permanently disqualified. You can also be permanently disqualified if you have a permanent medical disability, but you must provide us with a doctor's note that states that, and it must be signed by either an MD or an APRN. Also, judges, if you're a judge, you can be disqualified. You are actually excluded from the summoning process. Next slide. So this is actually a copy of the juror questionnaire. This questionnaire is attached to the reminder notice that goes out to all jurors that have confirmed their appearance date. Now, there's particular interest here because if you notice in the box that says race and ethnicity, this is something over the past couple of years that has gotten a lot of attention. And the attention is because of the fact that you're not required to fill it out. This is something that is optional, and this causes a lot of discussion, and I'm sure we will have plenty of opportunity to discuss that further. Next slide. Currently, when you're summoned for jury service, a juror can confirm their jury service date online by going on to the judicial website, and you can also confirm by telephone, email, live chat, or by mail. A lot of people prefer to go online and confirm themselves because it's quick and easy. You can also sign up to receive a text alert to be notified if the jury service is going to be canceled. Next slide. Jurors are allowed to postpone within a year of their original summons date. You could postpone your first postponement date online. If you're postponing for a second time, you have to do so by telephone, email, or live chat. There are several hardships that individuals might qualify. This is a list of some of them here. If you're a stay-at-home parent, if you do not have transportation within a year from the original juror service date, if you're active military, you could be also considered for a hardship. If you're a primary caregiver to a family member who is ill or disabled and you take care of them full-time, students with no break in between studies and are not in Connecticut for a period of at least 1 week, they can also be considered for a hardship. Also, individuals that are temporarily out of state for at least a year from the original date can be considered for a hardship. Individuals that are currently serving federal jury service that will last for a year from the original service date are also considered. There are other hardships that can be considered under this hardship consideration as well. Next slide. So this is just a brief sort of snapshot of, some of the main reasons why individuals call us. As you can see, last year, court year 2019, we had over 98,000 individuals confirm. 76% of the individuals that confirmed did so online, and we had over 122,000 people postponing. 59% of individuals postpone online. These are some other stats as well. Just looking at the number of individuals that we summon is usually over 500,000 people. We get a lot of undeliverable mail. and a lot of cancellations, quite a bit of no-shows. So we have, you know, a lot of stats, but we couldn't include everything in this slide. We'd be here all day. Next slide. So going forward, we are working on a new jury management system. We're very limited on what we can do currently because the system we're using is, you know, over 30 years old. So we've purchased a new one, and we're in the process right now of working with our vendor. We purchased this new jury system from Tyler Jury Management System, and so Tyler Jury Management System and Summons Direct offers the industry's only fully integrated solution to manage all facets of juror management, from summoning to juror processing and payment. It will help jury administration and the courts meet requirements and jury goals by optimizing workflow efficiencies, lower undeliverable rates, and increasing the juror yield. Next slide. Also going forward, we hope we can put more effort into our outreach program by soliciting more community feedback. We'd like to broaden our efforts to include more community organizations and community colleges and universities. We'd like to identify training opportunities that will better prepare our outreach staff to communicate jury information to a larger and more diverse audience. One of the things that we hope we can work on is also creating a new jury outreach video that will demonstrate, you know, how important it is to serve on a jury. And we plan to put that focus on a lot of community organizations and show the video to a lot of community organizations. We haven't started the process yet, but it's something we hope to do in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Esther Harris. Thank you for that presentation. Next, I believe we have Ty Erickson about to speak to us about the logistics and support staff. Before that, I'll just note, I do see in the comments some of the technical issues that some people are having, including Chief Public Defender Chris Rapillo. We'll make sure that we iron those out for any subsequent meetings. Thank you for alerting us to those issues. Ty?
Hi, everyone, again. I'm going to go over some information about the 4 subcommittees. Hopefully you've had a chance to review not only the charge for the task force, the full task force, but also the 4 subcommittees. So we've got data, statutes, and rules, and our support staff person, as Judge Williams mentioned earlier, Chris Pleasanton, is from our criminal matters unit. We've selected 1 staff support person per subcommittee, and they're all from the court operations unit. The juror summoning process subcommittee has Karen Sandler, who's also from the criminal matters unit for court operations. Implicit bias in the jury selection process and Batson challenges, we have Paul Doolittle. He's also from the criminal matters unit. And finally, for juror outreach and education, we have Sherry DeLuca, and she is from jury administration. So we've got a relatively short timeline. What we are hoping to do is wrap up the work of the full task force and the subcommittees by January 2021. That's 21, not 22. So that's a very, very tight timeline. But as the CJ said earlier, we were all selected and he has complete confidence in us that we can do this. So what we're looking to do is to have the subcommittee start to meet immediately. So let me give you some more information on that. The role of the staff who are supporting each subcommittee is to assist in the coordination of meeting dates, drafting and posting agendas and minutes for each meeting, and they can certainly be a resource for you for other matters. But it is anticipated, and you probably figured this out by reading the charge for each of the subcommittees. It's anticipated that there will be a substantial amount of work involved and that all subcommittee members will collaborate together to meet the demands of the respective charges. At the end of this call, you're going to get a form emailed to you. It is an online fillable form, pretty basic, where it asks you to list 2 of the 4 subcommittees you have an interest in being a member on. You're going to submit that as per the form instructions. There are email contact addresses for both Attorney Roseanne Rush and Attorney Alex Gillette. You can return the form, and we ask that you do that by the end of tomorrow. And we are actually going to be compiling all of the subcommittee requests and create the subcommittees, as well as looking at co-chairs for each subcommittee. And we will share that information with you actually by Thursday. So you can see that this is running very quickly because we have a tight timeline and we have a lot of work to do, as was mentioned by several of our members here. So it is contemplated that even though we're asking you to list a couple of subcommittees you may be interested in serving on, it's contemplated that each task force member will only serve on 1 subcommittee. So we're hoping to have an equal distribution of the committee members on each of these subcommittees. So we actually have come up with several meeting dates for the full task force, and we'll share those dates with you. Once we establish each of the subcommittee memberships, we will work to come up with dates for each of the subcommittees. So it's going to be a lot of meetings and a lot of communication going on. Let's see. I think I ran through that in record time. I don't know if I missed anything. That's pretty much it, except to say that the contact information that you're going to get on the form asking you what your interest is for the subcommittees. If you have any questions or you want some follow-up information on the subcommittee process and what we're doing with that, you can certainly email Alex or Roseanne on that. So that's all I have for you. And again, I'm really looking forward to working with everyone and making this a reality in terms of the charges that we've been given. So thank you all.
Thanks, Ty. All right. Look, we're not going to go through and read to you the charge for each of these subcommittees. We know you're going to do the work and you're going to figure out where you fit in. But I just wanted to assure you, there is a place for each one of you on one of these subcommittees. I know that a lot of your work bridges across, many of them, but it's important to figure out, as Ty said, where you best fit. For a lot of you, that might be very easy, but I understand, speaking freely, that for some of you, reading the Holmes decision, it might have been frustrating. I understand that for some of you, Batson might seem beyond fixing. To you, Batson always might seem like it's going to provide a safe harbor for both purposeful discrimination and for implicit bias in preventing people of color from serving on juries. I get that. You might argue that we can flood our jury pools with black and brown faces, that we can make our jury assembly rooms look like our arraignment courts, as how in many courthouses, minority representation among people held in custody from their arrest until their first court date is disproportionate to their percentage of the overall population within those same court communities. You might even point out that even on an exclusively minority jury panel, that people can be blocked from service simply by expressing views that are critical of some of the documented outcomes of our system of justice, how their views can be supported by headlines reporting on wrongful convictions, that they can be bolstered by statistics on disparate treatment, disparate results, even video evidence. And those potential jurors can come with receipts, so to speak, but they can still be prevented from serving just because of those views. So to some of you, I understand that this issue might seem to transcend race. Pointing to the diversity of our current worldwide protests, you might want to focus on greater diversity of thought and ideology in jury service rather than on a potential juror's ethnicity or race or nationality. And in that sense, the concurrence by Justice Mullins in the Holmes case might speak to you. Wherever you stand, there is a place for you on one of these subcommittees. The charge from the Chief Justice and from the Supreme Court in its unanimous decision, it does allow for a lot of room for all of this type of thought. And I assure you that there is a subcommittee that desperately needs your ideas, your knowledge, your experience, your expertise, and your devotion to this work. This is not just an outlet for you to vent. This really is a true opportunity to affect real change in the fairness of our trials. Right now, as you already know, there are agencies and organizations and politicians and leaders and the public listening. They're asking what they can do to make things better, and they are truly committed. Our judiciary right now is rethinking how to safely resume jury trials. Our legislature is planning its next legislative session. And although this timeline is very short, it gives you a real opportunity to produce some ambitious recommendations that require cooperation beyond the confines of this task force. And as the Chief Justice said, you can see this through, but we are tasked to act quickly. I know that it's said that the wheels of justice turn slowly, and this is your opportunity to really build some momentum here. We have faith in you that you will provide us with something amazing to report, and I thank each and every one of you who, you should know that when each of us was reached to ask after the delays from the COVID-19 outbreak, push back our starting meetings, that each and every one of you responded immediately and enthusiastically, and you should know that because it speaks very highly of each of you who was chosen for this important work to serve the people of the state of Connecticut. I know that this is pretty much the time in the meeting where I would usually get the look from one of my mentors, retired Justice Luby Harper, that look of why are you still sitting here and why are you not already working? And I feel that. And so is there anything from anybody, Chief Justice Rogers, is there anything that I have missed?
So the only thing that I would add is the reason that we chose January, I hope is self-evident. If we can come up with some really good, practical, smart recommendations that are approved by the Chief Justice, we can strike while the iron's hot and get this to the legislature to the extent we need statutory changes, and also start talking to the judges about rule changes. So that is the reason behind that.
Folks, does anyone have, I know this is a lot to soak in, and I know that you've got to do a lot of introspection to turn around and let us know which subcommittee you'd like to serve on, but is there anyone who has any questions that need to be addressed at this point rather than at the later subcommittee level? All right, Ty or Alex, anything further?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, it sounds like we are at a natural conclusion. Do we have a motion to adjourn? All right, thank you all for being here. Thank you for your incredible work, and we're looking forward to making some real progress here. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.